Hello and welcome to the Box Score Network's YouTube channel. This is a YouTube only special. Thank you for checking us out. This is going to be our NFL mock draft competition slash top 50 big board. We have a composite mock of four of our different Box Score Network analysts. We have myself. I'm here with Simon. Say hello, Simon.
Hello, Simon.
Um, I think that's only Simon Says when you have to like copy it word for word, I think. But and then we also have Peyton and Ben's big boards. So we have four big boards, and we have compiled those into a one giant box score network big board. So we're going to go over that. But as you can see on your screen right now, we have this Mockout logo on here with this code down at the bottom, which will also be in the description down below. Please do a mock draft. It's only one round. Throw it in there. Make sure for your title you put your name or your email address or your like Twitter handle or Instagram or whatever, so we can shout out whoever wins. Last year, actually, Simon was our champion of our mock draft competition. So let's help us dethrone Simon. I would love to see an outsider win this year because before that, I believe Peyton won. So I think back to back years, one of us have won the competition. So get a mock in there. I guess without further ado, let's get into our top 50. Anything else you have, Simon?
No, just come on in. We've got thank you for being here. Thank you for being on YouTube. Austin, thanks for putting this together. Come back to YouTube every single day because we are gonna have something posted on this channel every day going up to the draft, reacting to the draft right after the first and second days. We'll have stuff going up throughout the weekend after the draft. So if you love the NFL draft, you're here starting it on Monday of draft week. We will be with you all week long, so don't go away.
Fantastic. All right, let's move on. Honorable mentions. These are guys who did not make our consensus top 50, but are top 50 on at least one of our boards. This is not in order of anything. These are just I did by position, starting with defense, going down the list. So everybody here on this list is on our big board, or at least on one of our big boards inside the top 50. We have 16 names here, so that just kind of goes to show how varied these can be at times. But a bunch of fun names on here. Um, yeah, let's move on
Austin
to.
stuck all my guards down there at the
I
bottom
did, I
that I
did.
have in
Yeah.
the top that I have in the first round. No big deal.
This is our top five. Travis Hunter at the top is no surprise with Abdul Carter at two. Again, no surprise there. I think the only sort of shakeups that you'd think here are Cam Ward's not here, and that's because this is a big board. This is based on player grades. This isn't projecting the draft or anything like that. There can be positional importance factored into this. There doesn't have to be. We all do our big boards differently. We'll talk about some of those discrepancies later on down in this list. But Cam Ward's not at the top because he's not the best player in this draft. He's probably going to go first, but that's not indicative of his talent amongst his peers relative to each other in their position lists and stuff like that. What's the biggest discrepancy on this board besides Cam Ward not being here, you think, Simon?
It's definitely Ted McMillan. It's definitely T Mac being here for us still. And McMillan, wide receiver out of Arizona, 6'4", over 200 pounds. Was a guy that early in the process was considered like lock top 10, probably top 8, maybe top 5 guy, both on big boards and in mocks. And then as we've gone through the process, there's always a few of these guys that kind of fall for one reason or another. For McMillan's case, that would be, his 40 time, what's his true like breakaway speed, and then a random radio interview he did from a cafeteria saying he doesn't watch film,
I was like,
which
that's like 3 years old, by the way. It's like from
and
his
it's like
freshman
he
year.
doesn't watch film on a like Saturday afternoon when he's sitting at home versus like yeah, I go to practice and I watch whatever, man. Consider seeing Tet here as your first uh peek behind the curtain that we are the don't overthink it big board.
We are.
Like turn on Tet McMillan film. The dude's a baller.
Yeah.
Draft him very early and you'll be happy with it. So we got Tet here. He's fallen down boards. If your team gets him outside the top 10, consider that a steal.
And let's just roll that right into Will Johnson at six for us.
Yeah.
Again, this is our don't overthink it board. Will Johnson, fantastic corner. Cornerback 1/2, depending on what you think of Travis Hunter in this class. You can see there's no other corners on this board, so significantly higher than the next guy. Um, Again, the difference between like 6 and like 11 is so much bigger than like 14 and 25. Like it's
Yeah.
like the gaps get smaller as you go down the
Hmm.
board. So Will Johnson at 6 is very high. We're very high on Will Johnson, and I think that just goes to show again, we're not overthinking it. We've seen the player he's capable of being uh, before his injury, and again, injuries do play into a factor. Some of us think about injuries more than others. I think you, generally speaking, factor
Yep.
injuries a little bit more than like I do, for example.
Yep.
But Will Johnson, great player. Anyone else on this board you want to mention?
Malachi Stark, same thing. Like, he's a
Yep.
safety. Those guys get pushed down, but he was a guy that early on in the process, people are just grading based on ability, so he was very high. And we don't waver off of that just because he plays safety. You can move him around. He can cause havoc. He can create plays, even doing it from the safety spot. So Malachi Starks is another guy we're really high on.
Yep. And then you can see 7 and 8, Will Gamble and Armand Membao, both listed as tackles.
Hmm.
Not that they can't play guard. We just all kind of collectively, the four of us, think he should be at least attempted to be a tackle because he has that skill set, and it's where we would like him to play before they slide in to guard if it doesn't work out or for any other reason.
Exactly.
11 through 15, no real surprises here, except for your Cam Ward at 12. He's all of our quarterback ones. I don't think any of us would think it's a bad play to take him first overall. I think we're all on that board of he's worth
Hmm.
the first overall pick. If you need a quarterback, he is a good enough quarterback to be selected first overall.
Yep.
Doesn't necessarily think that we think that's what should happen, but we're all sort of in that realm of we like it. We
Hmm.
like
Hmm. Yeah, I personally am the one person that has Cam Ward in the top five of my big board, and that's because I do factor in the positional value of it. So I just kind of like is you said like that baseline of quarterback that you would take there. For me, that just pushes him up the board because if you're a team considering a quarterback, and if he meets that threshold of first overall pick, you're gonna have him really high on your board. You're gonna try to get him. But I think 12 nets out the right way because it averages with what you guys are doing more of the hey just player grade or like I always say the Madden rating like when he's
it.
in Madden 25 26 I don't know uh these 11 guys we would expect to have higher overall ratings than Cam Ward at least for the first year.
Yeah, that Madden rating is a great way of putting it. The other interesting note here, you can see one player has a double position. The second one on our board, because we had Travis Hunter listed as wide receiver slash cornerback, slightly different because that's one offensive, one defense. But Jalen Walker, we have as defensive end slash linebacker. I know, Simon, you see him as more of a linebacker. Would
Hmm.
you would love a team to draft him and play him as a linebacker? I view him as more of an edge rusher. I would much rather see him be drafted and then moved as, an outside linebacker slash edge, depending
Hmm.
on 4-3-3-4 scheme, all that kind of stuff.
Yep. Yeah, and it's funny because if I were grading him as just an edge rusher, you and I would have him actually probably in the exact same spot almost. I'm just really high on him because I think he'd be a really good 4-3 outside linebacker. I called him a souped up like Leo Chenal or Frankie Louvu kind of guy. Um, yeah, Walker's a fun player, but I do think you kind of have to use him right. He's not, yeah, that Travis Hunter skill set where he could be really good at both. I think he's a bit of a tweener that he has to get to the right team, have the right fit for.
Yep. And we both definitely see him not being used in each role. Like a team's going to pick him and then stick him at one of the two, most likely.
Right. Yep. And even our guy Ben, shout out to Ben, he sees him like he does see him playing both. He said,
Mhm.
I think he's saying like run down linebacker, over the B gap and then
Yep.
pass down, just let him pin his ears back and rush the edge. Don't want him to set the edge as a run defender, but you want him to rush passer off of that. So,
A la
you
an
know,
early career, what's his name? I can't think of him.
I don't know.
Cowboys.
Oh,
Cowboys.
Micah Parsons. Well,
Micah
Micah Parsons
Parsons.
was
Thank
doing his
you.
rookie year. Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. 100%. Yep.
I don't know why that took me so long to think of his name, but yes, an early career Micah Parsons archetype, not nearly as talented,
No,
but
no, definitely
that
not.
archetype.
No.
16 through 20, very cookie cutter, I think, at this point. Shamar Stewart maybe a little bit high on our boards compared to others. Again, we're in the more of the don't overthink it category, just
Hmm.
incredible tools. I'm lower on him personally. Uh, but just as a group, we're pretty much we like the athletic tools, and he'll develop.
Yep.
Um, and then the other one on this list, I think, is Josh Simmons, and this is where it really we see a lot of variance come into play. Josh Simmons to me would be the top tackle on the board if he were healthy,
Hmm.
and I factor his injury a lot less
Yeah.
into the situation, as well as some minor off-field concerns. But so Josh Simmons to me is much higher because I'm not knocking him as much. There's a little bit, but not much. Versus, I know you are like much more concerned about the injury and all that other stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah. I factor in the injury. I factor in, just some of the not, and it's not any like huge stuff off the field, but more stuff that I think is going to impact development in terms of there's some, maturity and just coachability stuff. But I try not to do that one too much because you never know who is saying that and why. But hearing that, plus the injury, and then plus for me just on film, like I see the good things people are talking about, but I have a bugaboo of offensive linemen letting dudes into their bodies, especially when they don't have to. And I'm just like, you got the length, man. You've got the hands. You've got the speed. Like, it's unnecessary. You can maybe let this, 6'1", 230-pound edge rusher in college get into your chest like that, but don't let that happen in the NFL. So if that's something that gets cleaned up, I think he could be a very good player. Assuming all the other stuff works out for him.
Hello everyone, so I'm Short of Box Score Network here. Thank you all so much for watching this video on our mock draft contest and our top 50 consensus big board. Just wanted to give you a quick video here on how to use Mockout. You can see I already have it downloaded to my phone here. It is an app for your phone, so make sure you download that. And I'm also going to show you the link once again. This is in the episode description of the video, but you'll go to the link and it'll take you right to our contest where you can submit a mock. If you don't already have a mock on Mockout, it'll prompt you to create one right here. You go to the one round option, create mock, and this is what it looks like. So the green plus sign is where you pick the player, and it's already pretty much in order of a consensus mock draft, not so much a big board, but you can search for the player by name. You can go offense, you can go defense, go back here, and if you want to make a trade, you just click on the team that's trading away the pick, and you find them here under AFC or NFC, and you select the team you want the pick to now go to, and then you just have to complete the trade on the other end. So if Cleveland was, let's say, trading the pick to Miami, you would then just go to Miami and switch them to Cleveland in the same way. Then you create the mock, and you would submit it from there to Box Score Network. Make sure you name the mock with your first and last name so we can shout you out. And then any other way you want us to shout you out if there's a show you're on or your Twitter handle, whatever it is. So thank you all so much for watching, and let's get back to the video.
All right, moving on. No more pictures at this point. We're getting into outside the top 20 here. These are our next 15 guys on the board. Feel free to pause and take a look. We're going to kind of skim over most of these. I think just one thing I wanted to talk about on this page was the age, where the age of certain prospects kind of factors in. So Simon, for you personally, do you factor in, like, do you have a young guy higher up on your board than someone of equal on-field talent, but say they're 24 compared to a 21-year-old, or does that not really factor in much for you?
No, that's not a thing for me. I mean, I hear it out when it's talked about, but at the end of the day, all of these guys have played college football, so unless it's more of a like games played situation, I
Mhm.
would think for me if some guy has only played 8 games, but the talent is clear, like was it Mims? Marius Mims coming out of
Yeah.
Georgia last year, right? Like you could very clearly see on film him just pop, but he just barely played. And I'm projecting improvement more than someone who's maybe 21, but he's played 30 college games or something like that.
Right.
It's more about the games for me.
I think that's a good point. For me, I do factor the age in more. I just generally think you're more malleable. Your
Hmm.
body can change a lot more.
That's
So
true.
if you're
Hmm.
somebody who is like a Jalen Walker, for example, who's pretty young, I think he can, generally speaking, mold his body
Hmm.
into a different role easier at a
Yeah.
young age compared to someone who's a super senior coming out. Like a Tyler Warren was really high on our collective boards at 10, even though he's
Hmm.
one of the older guys. So I think
Hmm.
generally that gives you the feel of we don't really care too much
Yeah.
about that, but it can be a slight deal breaker for me, I think more so than the rest of the guys.
Yeah.
Just give me one name on this list. Actually, one name, and then we'll talk about Sanders briefly.
Okay. Yeah, my guy here is Josh Connolly for sure. So on our consensus board, we have him at 30. I have him at I want to say 19. Um, I have him at seven. No, I have him at 17. I moved him up. I love Connolly. I think there's true OT1 potential like at some point for him. He has my favorite trait, my favorite discerning trait from tackle, which is just how smooth he moves while still, having the strength, having the punch, having the all of that stuff. He needs to get stronger. But you talk about guys being young and what their body can do. He can absolutely add some weight and get, that lower body kind of and that core strength up. But I just think he's so smooth with everything he does. So he's at 31 for us. I have him up at 17. I think he can be a day one starting left tackle, and just depends on where he goes for sure. So I really like Connerly.
For me, it's Amarian Hampton, who I'm ridiculously high on. I think I have him at 7 on my big board, which is
Insane.
maybe the highest anyone has him in sort of football. But man, he just jumps off the page when I watch his film. I think he would be like my third highest running back I've ever graded. Ashton Jeanty and Bijan Robinson are
Hmm.
top two. I wasn't doing like player grades or anything when Saquon was around, but I'm assuming Saquon will be up there with those guys. And then it's like Omari and Hampton, man. Like Omari and Hampton's right up there, just under that sort of super elite, never like generational type, quote unquote, because there's a generational player every year.
Hmm.
Uh, but Omari and Hampton to me, just next level running back. So yeah, he's my guy in this group. And then lastly, let's talk about Sanders real quick. We have him at 33, I think, consensus. I think we're
Yes.
all sort of kind of similar on him as well.
Yes. Yep.
Who's the high, like, what's the highest we have him at roughly?
Oh gosh, you have him. I have him at 25. You have him at 27. Ben has him way down. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Um,
I did see that.
Shadur. I mean, Peyton has him low too. Peyton has him
Yeah.
at 49,
Mhm.
48. Where's Ben? Ben, where you at, man? Was I thinking of
Oh,
Peyton? Maybe I
Ben
was
has
thinking
him
of
pretty
Peyton.
high.
Okay. Yeah, Ben has him at 19. So it's
Yeah.
Peyton it's Peyton that dragged him way
Yeah.
down. But yeah, Ben's the highest, Peyton's the lowest. So we're right in the middle. Don't Shadur fans, don't kill us in the comments. Blame the other guys or praise the other guys. I don't know.
Yeah. Again, this goes off based off of like how much we're factoring in positional value and things like that. Some of us factor that in more than others,
Hmm.
but I think overall, none of us are like big Shadur fans. Um, and I don't think any of us are like pure Shadur haters. We don't think he should be, anywhere near the top. Um, although I don't want to speak for Peyton, but generally speaking, we're all kind of middle of the road on him. Okay, let's get to our last page here. 36 through 50. Pretty cookie cutter here at this point. Matthew Golden, Alec Iamaner above Matthew Golden might be the biggest sort of surprise on this board. Also, Benjamin Morrison is really high for us. That's a lot thanks to myself. But I know you and I are both Io Manor fans,
Oh yeah.
so we could talk about him all you want. Uh, Again, let us know in the comments if you like what if you want to have any questions. We won't go into any deep dives on most of these players, but if you want to know kind of our thoughts, let us know in the comments. We'll be responding. Anyone you want to talk about on this page?
I mean this is the if when you're doing your mocks, we'll since we're going to talk mock out here in a minute, when you're doing your mocks, this is the range you're looking at for corners, I think.
Yeah.
There are some guys when you get down into the third round and comp picks and stuff that you could still get and bring in and add to a room. But if you're looking for like a starting corner, this is the range. I really like Maxwell Harrison, Trey Amos, Azaria Thomas. Um, if everything clears medically with Benjamin Morris, love his film. He should be a first. He would be a first rounder if he was healthy.
Yep.
Savon Ravel was he in this group or was he in
I
on the
think he
last
was in the
one?
one just
Tail
above.
end of the one just above. So this is your range. If you're drafting in the bottom of the first round or top 40 pick, you can get corners here. We like all these guys on this group.
Yep, definitely. Generally speaking, I think we're all pretty cookie cutter, mostly in this spot. No one really is here that they shouldn't be here in this group, I don't think. And there's nobody like way down below consensus in this group either. Maybe aside from Matthew Golden, who I think consensus boards is sort of in the 20s, but we have him
Yeah.
down here closer to 40.
And the wide
Right at
receiver,
40.
it's just so spread out, and it's really just about your flavor, and it's about who at pick 20 is going to be like, we need a receiver. And Iomanor, we're probably consensus higher on. He's fluctuated a lot, where he's been at in the process, but I think he's consensus kind of back down into the third round. So when you consider the fact that this is a draft where picks 30 to 70 don't have that different of grades among a lot of people, it's not that strange. But Iomanor might, as of today, be a little higher on our board than a lot of other ones.
Yep. Okay. Let's kind of bring this thing home again. Mockout. Go check us out. Linked in the description. If you came here from Twitter, because this is going to be, linked on Twitter, do it. It's an app. It's very simple to install. We'll give a brief sort of description on how to use the app, and we'll have that video in here. It might have been here earlier. It might be after this. Who knows? That's all done in post. But again, thank you so much for checking us out here at the Box Score Network. Like Simon said, we have stuff coming all week prepared for the draft. And yeah, go check out Tricky Takes. Go check out Simon and Friends for Simon, as well as just all the other Box Score Network podcasts.